Welcome to our lovely future humans, those who are enjoying our mindful mindset practices, those who are enjoying being your true selves, those who are here for the first time. It's a 5D collective, so we are all full of compassion and love and forgiveness, and that path to self-discovery with mindfulness and wisdom, with love or shame. There's healthy ways for any of the two sides of a coin to go, and that's because we don't say never, and that's because we have an integrated brain. And so when you have the true timber and thought and feeling process of a functional, what I call inner child adult, you'll understand how to tell when we have a fun, smart human being and when we have instead a insecure, self-righteous, low-frequency person who could use Patrick Chan, but they might not, and they'll look for people to take their sides. Okay, so when you have that, and it comes to God, Source, Akash, Anima Mundi, just FYI, I'm a mystic in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, and you don't need anyone to raise your frequency. You don't need subliminal messages. You need yourself, number one, and a whole sense of self, number two, and that means that you have a body in connection, number three, and above all, because it's the body, your nervous system, and the sense of self that will lead that which is your embodied brain, your human makeup, okay? And in the absence of you being integrated, we have a distorted fake self, which is a adaptive child part, which will be a codependent, which will be a person who will consistently look outside itself for those who will tell them what to do. But then they will also think their authority is the only authority, and therefore they come in with their very unnecessary, self-righteous, stupid energy. You see, to me, it's a stupid energy that I saw as a teenager. I don't use the word stupid because I don't hang out with mediocre people. And my body is not reactive to ignorance, because ignorance means you're ignoring that you don't know everything, and I'm not God, and I don't have to chime in because, again, I don't actually want to interact with the adaptive child part because they're thinking they know everything already, and they're not even in the relationship to build a genuine, authentic relationship. So there's not a path to self-discovery with that person. There's a path for me in that moment of me having the opportunity to be mindfully aware, know the wisdom of love in my heart, and that I got a person with shame. They're not expanding from it because their mannerisms are clearly the destructive mode, brilliant, the ego that thinks they know everything, and you'll know because they'll build the breadcrumb of trails. So I've had a number of situations where I get asked a question, but they're not really interested in the question. They want to tell me why they're right. They give me all of the reasons, and then they continue. So what you do in those moments is you allow it's a 3-year-old who was shamed and some shit went down, and their 16-year-old wants a floor so that they can tell you how it is. And whenever it is, I usually am having a good time because I'm actually curious about their perspective and opinion, because I don't know everything, but also because just because they tell me they think they know everything, that they think they're an authority. No, you're not. I mean, really, you're just a random human being who doesn't notice that you have not yet expanded to become the true self. And so when you meet love or shame that expands, you will meet those who are on a path of self-discovery with mindfulness and wisdom. When you meet unhealthy love or shame, you will find that they are all adopted child part people who don't know about how to hear their true sense of self because they're a fako, because they actually just use a bunch of books. And you can tell it's like the Jungle Boy book, the Jungle Boy monkey with the walk like me, talk like me. So when you haven't integrated knowledge, because you may have reread the wisdom, you may think you understand it. How dare you trauma dump? I'm a healer. That's not integrated knowledge. That's weaponization of words. Also, you're in your self-righteous little butthole and you just yelled at a person for no reason except for you to know how to say thank you so much for sharing, but I'm not a therapist. And you're what? Come again? Healer. Wow. So you're not only telling me that you think you are here to heal people, but you're also acting very not nice. I'm thinking that doesn't fall in line with, we're all part of the same energy. I also think it doesn't fall in line with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. And I also don't think it falls in line with healing anything except for you're projecting your very own childhood charge pain point, and your nervous system is in a modulated. So again, when people like to wield their mouths, but they don't notice how they're wielding their somatic narrative, their bodies, they are not yet full potential. So they have not discovered who they are. They're not even on the path to self-discovery. They're on a path of unhealthy love and or unhealthy shame, which is not something fascinating. Mediocre at best. They don't hear you. Biologically rude people don't know how to use wisdom or mindfulness. In fact, they're not mindfully listening. And so when they're not mindfully listening, in fact, they'll interrupt classroom time with their own stories, and it's like, get your own classroom. And sometimes they do, and then it's like, okay, wait. Well, I got some golden nuggets at least, because I like to learn from the smart people, and smart people are stable, mature, adaptive, rational, and teachable. They also know they have their own biases. They also know that they have some information. They know they don't know everything, and so when they're presenting to you their stuff, it's more of, here's all the stuff we do know, here's what we don't know, here's what our colleagues are doing. And so you'll find it is immensely beautiful versus, here's the 5 ways, it's the only way, and if it's not this way, wow, you're really small, that energy. See, so you never look back and regret anything from the past. That definitely works wonders for those of us who know how to be conscious lovers. We do listen to all people, but we just don't do it in a way of, you're my authority. No. Okay, so you are able to listen to your own sense of self, to share the floor with anyone, whether they're mature and expanding or not. Okay, and then you don't, think I wasted my time. Although, sometimes, of course, it can be a bit annoying when we're having to deal with people who are immature, but it's okay because they give us practice to say, remember, we all have flaws and imperfections, so let's not be not nice to the unhealthy self-worth people. Immunity is enough to be saluted. I still reiterated, we're not friends. And the next time, though, I looked at them, so at least they could feel that they were decent as a person. But no, I'm not your friend. 3 consistent years of being a stranger, I actually made it clear in the most decent, nice way possible. That's why it's not about love being, let me give you a pass, and shame being the defective type of, there's healthy to any word when you're expanding yourself. Okay, so the ones who are, you can only use it this way, it's like basically they want to color, they're like the children who are like, how dare you got out of the lines, and it's like, wow. And you think, what, you're a channeler for who? God? Sure you are, your amygdala is all over it. But actually, you know what, so fun fact, as the 5D has been here for a while now, that's why we're future humans. 4D 3D don't know, because they actually don't. As this, I'm reading a part of a story from Sadhguru, but I won't share it all. I'm just going to give you the gist of the wisdom, which is when you have someone who does not listen, there's no reason for you to speak to them, because the wisdom shared with those who don't listen is wasted. And so when you meet codependent people and people who want pats on each other's backs and they just want to be told that they're right, you don't tell them that they're right, and you don't tell them that they're wrong. I learned this as a teenager, and that's because I say, look, I'm a differentiated self. I don't enmesh. I have my thoughts and feelings. You have your thoughts and feelings. I respect that we have subjective reality, even though we want objective stuff, but flat earthers are out there. So really don't come to me about the whole feelings things, because one, you're all feelings anyway. So, the wealthiest thing you can build as our short and our extended is the mindset that leads you to well-being and wellness. So people who are adaptive child part people are not in their wellness. So they're not hearing you because they're not mindful listeners. They don't own their sense of self, and they don't know how to handle differentiation of the self. So when I say I don't agree with you, what I learned teenagers do is, and so I just decided, because I don't want to waste any of that which is wisdom or knowledge or understanding on anybody's like, well, you're stupid. I allow myself to just leave it alone. That way they can get off their chest their proof, which I know is not proof, by the way. And then when they see my stare, they're also going to notice that I'm not even budging 1 inch. And that's because I'm not you and you're not me. And if they say, how dare you, which sometimes it comes up, I say, look, I didn't realize that tomato are 2 different ways of looking at something, but I can leave if you prefer. Just I don't have the same opinion. And you're not an authority figure on anything. You're just another random human being with books. I got plenty of books everywhere and anywhere. What else do you want? No, I actually don't take philosophy as seriously as the data of what gravity is, which is why I'm okay with the people who don't want to believe in the moon, but I believe in the moon and the earth round, and I want to get off the planet so that, one day my future generations, I care about humanity. So not the stories that those who have basically fallen and don't know how to get up, So narratives are not strong for smart brains. Stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. Narratives are stories, and they don't keep us fixed in time. There's no Lucifer, evil demon. But if I had to equate it to anything, I'd know exactly who fits the bill. And that's all those nervous systems of those people who don't want to go and get their body in connection, and who don't want to get to becoming the healthy version of love and the healthy version of shame, which means badass for real. So when you don't discover yourself, which means you don't take ownership of your 0 1 year old, your 3 to 7, and your freeze of all, and flight 11, 12, and fight 14, 15, 16. So as long as you don't take all your child parts and get them whole, I'm not talking to a person. I'm talking to the 16-year-old who thinks that life's unfair and that the system's trying to, keep them down and all that other stuff. I was a teenager too. I remember I chose anarchy because I trust my human species, and I'm actually not afraid of any of them. Also, what happens to people whose body is in protection is not really great. Yes, it's not fun. Neuroception, you learn about what the survival mode does to people's bodies. And that's why when someone says it's dangerous to have no emotions, and it's not true that it's inherently healthy or enlightening to be non-reactive, and that they're going to dismantle modern day therapists because they're trying to imprison you, that's very much let me use Patrick Dan, he's the smart one of these. Because, we have childhood trauma survivor personality types. And so that is actually, I'm going to say hostile. Because we got the doomsdayer, the doer, the hostile, the please appeaser, and the are we good. We also have those who have the CPTSD that isn't getting better, but that's for people who are healing. And he explains disturbances in self-organization. So when you see a person who says you can't have emotions, again, or you can have no emotions, they don't know what they're talking about. Also, yes, it's healthy to be non-reactive because your nervous system's E state is the non-reactive, the ventral vagal state. So they're just playing with words, like the monkey from Jungle Book Boy, right? And that's why I'm saying mediocrity. Who wants to follow it around? Nobody. So if you got intelligence, that's because you got wisdom, mindfulness, and you also have discovered yourself. It's you, but you have a body, again, in connection, not protection. Otherwise, we have our self-righteous energy, which is often learned and is the reserve, unfortunately, of childhood pain that is aimed at others directly or privately in their thoughts. And the problem with that is that when they're self-righteous, they feel good because in the moment they have this control stuff and they think they have the upper hand. In fact, if you let them talk, that's why they'll leave you alone. I learned as a teenager, every ego just wants a floor. You let them talk, they go. If they say, you're not agreeing, I'm sorry, I'm not you. I don't have any other words for you. Look, we can discuss this, but I have already presented to you clearly. No, that's no. And that's exactly how it works for healthy self-worth people. It's no, I don't agree with you. I didn't realize you couldn't handle disagreements, or basically tomato, tomato. And if they are empowered, this doesn't happen. They actually have fun. And it's like, wow. So we come at things from different angles. How great is this? Oh, let's, and we add to each other. That's the difference, is the curiosity and the adding, which I have plenty of experience with. Otherwise, again, you leave alone so that they can just let it all out. They don't have intimacy or the kindness they were born with because they're in their actual, again, protective mode. And they're having this fun with it because they think they feel empowered. Now, you also learn from Terry Real how they could do this, become hostile, and then they do this withdrawal. And this treatment apparently is supposed to, they play hostile and withdrawal because they think they're punishing you now by not talking to you. Because then there's these people who think actually that by not talking to you or looking at you or engaging with you, that you are going to be eroded in your confidence. Because that's exactly how insecure people who are not actually moving out of shame, I'm not kidding, it's not funny, and I'm not trying to make it in a competition, but love is really awesome, and expanding from shame is awesome, because then they move into that intimacy and the kindness they are, and then they know, wow, so that's what adaptive child part looks like. Pseudo-intellectuals, very fascinating. I'm pseudoscience, but the pseudoscience with the pseudo-intellectuals are even more fascinating, and let me not even go there right now. So again, they get to decide if they value to grow into a person who has integrity and virtue and actual good intentions, because they become an integrated brain and full of love and expand and get out of insecurity, or they can recognize that they were set up for contempt and self-righteousness from childhood trauma stuff and then still get healed. So again, I do always do the best I can to leave today better than yesterday. So when you meet people who are not on a path of self-discovery, you're going to meet that they think they know everything and how what they've done for themselves works for everybody. While when you meet someone who's a guru, enlightened one, a spiritual master, or if you don't want to think about it that way, we can put into the picture functioning a child adult that can ground it down and bring it, into simplicity. Again, mediocrity, it's okay. We can have average people out there. Mediocrity is not a bad thing. The people who don't want to go to therapy, they really don't believe in the therapist. They actually feel imprisoned by them, because that's the part of what they say. They say they want us to have no emotions and they want to imprison us. No, they want to help you get up here, but you want to stay down here because you've decided that life's unfair, the system's trying to hold you down, that you can't, learned helplessness, or that it's your fault and you're broken, or that others are broken, it's their fault, and you don't go heal that brokenness with the human stuff. So again, when people are not self-led, just letting you know, it's a very straightforward equation. I have chosen love the entirety of my life, and when people remind me that there's a healthy side of shame and a healthy side of fear and a healthy side of everything, I say thank you so much, because that's a great reminder. I forget sometimes that there's all these different emotions, so we can work with them all in a healthy way. And that, yes, people can come out of shame and not feel defective. And so this is why the spiritual master, guru, or a healthy self-worth person, as Dr. Daniel Fox presents, they will not judge somebody based on where they are at right now. So no one's a Lucifer, or an evil, or demon. There's no entities attached to anybody. When you have emotionally immature people, whether they're self-righteous or not, we have, an orphan now. The orphan is in the desert because their body is actually not really going to do great, as protection doesn't do great. But there's a bridge, and it's called, if you get to actually know what true love is, which means that it's unconditional and that God doesn't have to have one way of doing things, spirit, source. Okay, so when people are using only yesterday's books for all of that, which is, spirit, source, God, what the straitjacket of, it's not logic, it's just the left brain alone. Excuse me, you're confusing science, spirituality. I'm trying to help you understand what a person who has not discovered themselves is. Because I don't care personally. I'll be in a room with a bunch of them and I'm just like, oh wow, that's a great point of view. That's where dispelling darkness, guru. I just don't do it the same way Sadhguru does it. And I don't have to use the word again. Healthy self-worth human beings, we don't cast a stone. We're functional adults. We know everybody has trauma unless it's healed and they have emotions and we get to talk about them, which is why the mindful mindset practices are useful, the paid subscriber content, for the ones who do it daily and for ascension energies, as we have a new moon coming up and we also have a special day the day after. So you look at every person, that the masculine always has potential to fulfill the utmost amazing. The left brain can always become friends with the right. The default mode network can get down regulated, insula activated, and their body, the empowered feminine, is now in connection and with an empowered masculine. And now we have a whole masculine feminine element, and you have a person who's going to, whether they're mystic or science, spiritual or secular, they're going to be a healthy self-worth who knows every person can behave with that which is healthy self-worth and bring to fruition all that they will have ever desired. Which is why, again, the fifth dimension people, they've been here. And we still channel and download, and we still take part in spiritual toolkit, Reiki, Akashic record readings, tarot. I love giving guidance to people who are grounded in reality with personal development and spiritual growth. The ones who are in the 4D, 3D, I just think, wow, pseudo-aliveness, not really fascinating, but I have had some of them in energy spheres. There's no black magic. There's no magical spells. I've actually heard someone say, if you tell your twin flame that he's your twin flame, which, by the way, you don't have to tell any of them anything if you're an empowered feminine, because you don't do that. Empowered feminines don't tell their oversoul. They have names. I'm sorry. You probably heard about tragedy. And I know there's a shitty docu, whatever. That's not everyone's experience, just so you know. So as an empowered feminine, let me tell you, yes, we go through a lot of different experiences because we're mindfully, with the mental plane, mastering it. And then we're emotionally mastering it, the plane. And then we're physically mastering it right now. I'm a whole bunch of fun with my physical Akashic record reader. So we know that we meet all people for the same reason, because I get to discover Maria and you get to discover you. And as a differentiated self, me and you create a we, and that's it. And I have an entire harmony with all of it, because I don't do the low frequency if it's a low, and if it's a high, we have a fun time. And they will not neglect anyone just because they don't have the necessary capability in the moment. Spiritual masters, gurus, enlightened ones, healthy self-worth men and women. We don't know them isn't enough to be saluted. I treated them with the most respect. That's called self-regulation. And in my ventral vagal state, I hung out and I had a good time. And then when I got home, and then I reiterated my boundaries again. And I didn't yell in their face. I just looked at them because they were near a friend of mine. You looked at me. I ignored the passive-aggressive bullshit. And you move on with life. And when you have people who don't like your confidence, you know that they just speak behind your back and in their ears. And I don't laugh because it's funny. I actually laugh because, wow. I mean, I didn't think my teenage friends, as the last time I ever thought of any of this as like, wow, big deal, because I was a teenager too, but I'm not a teenager now. And then I got into college and I met a bunch of other teenagers, and when you hear me say teenagers, they're all this, and they're self-righteous, and it's not a powerful energy. It's really not at all. And that's why it's like, okay, thank you, God, so much. I thank God, Holy Spirit, Jesus, because they've kept me very much in the same energy that God is, discerning, equanimous love. As you'll read from the chapter I wrote in the Ways to God. I'm a co-author of the book. And when I got with my oversoul and all the twin flames and all this stuff is happening, I wasn't confused because of God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. I knew that the cloak people who are closed-minded would not be able to be smart, because, some people have to hold the fort for the low frequencies of shame and love. So when someone doesn't want to move into expansion of the self, it's not because they can't. That they physically are not yet in a body that is connected, and they don't have integration bilateral vertical. So there's a reason for it. And that's why we have 7 of 14, not charming, but Michael Stone, the forensic criminologist, his evil scale to a T, it's like spot on. So we have monkeys and Jungle Boy, Peter Pan and Lost Boys, and they follow Wendy's around. And that's why I laugh, because I'm like, wow, I mean, really, it's amazing to have all of that, and they all support to give us golden nuggets, because every 8 billion, they all count. They're all children of God. Just some don't choose to be the healthy version of love or shame. And they don't go on a path of self-discovery. They just allow us to get to continue meeting their masks, and they stay unseen because their shadow does never get healed, as they don't want to know their true self, because they don't go to Patrick Tiahan. And they also don't know that the one moves into the ones and then no ones, but you move into the heart. So when I saw what they did with the twin flames things, I was like, wow, they're just not happy that it's not going the way they want it to go. Now, I also knew what we were dealing with. But the point that I was trying to make is that you don't get into flipping a switch and calling people good or bad just because you don't get what you want in life, or thinking that someone can put a spell on you. That part made me laugh a lot. Although I've met the mystics who are in the 4D plane, and they have confirmed that it does happen. But it always comes to bite people in the ass, meaning that you don't have the possibility to break free will. You just can't physically. So anytime I hear anybody trying to bring stories, I've heard the Sadhguru stories. They're not his personally, but I've heard of different stories, one of which I don't remember the specifics. But again, that's a whole different, I'm gonna leave it alone because I also have to go, but I'm just thinking it's hilarious when a person who is in communion with God, Akash Source, and knows how it works would think in any way, shape, or form that the low frequency can actually win anything, if you will. That's not how it works. It's actually low so that you have the opportunity to be not on a high, but to make the choice of expansion. So low frequency means that shame stays defective, and low frequency of love means I'm not enough to be saluted, that you have unhealthy self-worth, you're down here. So that's why low frequency is shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, courage. Neutrality, willingness, acceptance is when you maybe get to 4th dimension, and then inner light, reason, acceptance. So when you accept yourself means I'm crooked, but you can be crooked too. And then I'm moving into more of neutrality. So if you don't move into the inner wisdom of neutrality and duality, you're going to sound like the Zen master. So I have laundry. No one can be enlightened. There's not enlightenment. It's a trap. So body's in protection. They don't discover themselves. They think they do know everything, and they think that it's dangerous to have no emotions because they think non-reactivity means we have no emotions, and that it's not true, that it's inherently healthy and enlightening. Instead, what they don't, again, understand is that non-reactivity is your well-being. So thanks for choosing wellness and being a part of our 5D collective. You can become a paid subscriber if you do like to integrate daily life practices, the mindful mindset kind, and there's exercises, readings, and spotlights of great therapists out there and channels. And also there's more to come, but we also have free content, 3-minute, and then 5 and 15-minute are for the paid, although 3-minute will have some paid too, because I know that some of you might have need for shorter episodes, and I like to have fun with it. In the meantime, if you find yourself around September in the Naples, Italy area, I will be participating more likely than not to a retreat, a yoga retreat. That's a 2-day event, so I'm getting ready to organize an inner growth mindful mindset group practice. I will probably allow myself to formulate that and also add it to our paid content for the podcast, although you might not see me because Spotify is where you can see the video, but on the other podcast you can only hear me. I always make them so you can hear me though, as you're walking through thoughts and feelings anyways. But the day after it'll be with a one-on-one tarot oracle for guidance on supporting them with whatever came out with the group activity. And in the future, once we have our actual groups getting together, online retreats together, I'll be able to do that with us as we get paid subscribers. That might be something you'll be interested in doing. And so not only do we have community that does practices with the podcast, but if we want to get together, we're going to do it that way with something paid as well. In that instance, I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. And I do love that we can come together online because it makes the world a smaller place. And at the same time, I also love doing some things in location when I can, and when others are organizing and they actually know of me. It's very much an honor, I have to say. And I will do it in Italian, by the way. Yeah, that's right. So if you are an English speaker and you're curious, let me know, because then I'm going to have to organize myself in a different way. So thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe, and share with anybody who you know enjoys the self-discovery path and enjoys mindfulness and wisdom, and therefore using that which is thoughts and feelings and the body and connection, of course. And if you need any of good networks and sources for the therapy people, they're all out there. But Patrick Tian is great, Terreal, and Dr. Daniel Siegel, Dr. Daniel Fox, Bezel Vanderkolk, Janina Fisher. Tara Brock does a lot of nice free content for mindfulness and more. So that one, she's on YouTube. And I'm Dr. Amy Apigian, the Biology of Trauma podcast, and the Therapy Nutshell or Nutshell Therapy lady. She's awesome with all the stuff she comes out with too. And I know I'm forgetting some, but I'll be back with more. In the meantime, thanks for stopping by.